To another hour and a half of news making the rounds across the country, served with the extra touch of fine details. Tonight, we take off with the Dakar Feed Summit, where President Buhari's wake-up call for African leaders to give greater priority to agricultural production towards continent sufficiency and more export reverberates. Back home, the Federal Executive Council sat with aviation, digital economy, and roads infrastructure holding sway. What is the power behind the jerry cans such that even when motorists sweat it out on fuel queues, it is brisk business for the jerry can business partners? In the same vein, the Green Chambers beams its searchlight on the persistent scarcity of petrol. Barely a week to the CBN deadline on currency swap and the redesigned naira notes, we shall feed you in with situations, and it is a mixed grill of the good and the not so good. In politics, political parties intensify campaign as the clock ticks on towards that February date of defining moments. It is a loaded package and your Wednesday night just got better. But don't take my word for it. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Umar Buba, and this is News Extra, coming to you amidst a facelift. If I'm sure you got my drift. You can follow this news live on our website, nta.ng/live, NTA News Now, and other social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. And let's take Dakar Feed Summit, where President Muhammadu Buhari has tasked African leaders to demonstrate political will and recommit themselves to massive agricultural production to meet the needs of the continent and export surpluses. Addressing participants at the second edition of the International Conference on Agriculture in Dakar, Senegal, the president insists that feeding Africa is not negotiable. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The conference, organized by the African Union Commission, the government of Senegal and the African Development Bank, has as its theme, Feed Africa, Food Sovereignty and Resilience, coming at a time when Africa accounts for a third of the 826 million hungry people in the world, coupled with a rising inflation globally due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The high-level summit seeks to extract firm commitments on eradicating hunger on the continent by the year 2030.
The African Development Bank will commit $10 billion in the next 5 years in direct support of the Food and Agriculture Delivery Compacts. Let us end hunger and malnutrition in Africa. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our continent. We owe it to the world. I say it again, the moment is right and the time is now. Let's just do it. Let us develop with pride.
In his address to participants, President Muhammadu Buhari described feeding Africa as an imperative, and to achieve this, he said at least 10% of annual national budgets must be allocated to agriculture. Farmers, he emphasized, must be strongly supported and the rate of rural-urban migration be reduced through the development of rural areas.
I therefore appeal to the Development Bank to launch the Sufficient Agro-Industrial Processing Zones. The Sufficient Agro-Industrial Processing Zones are game changers for the structural transformation of the agricultural sector. We must ensure that we feed ourselves today, tomorrow, and well into the future.
He described as welcoming the provision of 530 to be started in 7 states by the African Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, and the International Fund for Agricultural Development. The president, however, stressed the need for food and agriculture delivery compacts arising from the summit work towards adequately empowering youth and women in agriculture.
To feed Africa, we need younger male and female farmers. So the future of agriculture in Africa will depend on getting more youth into agriculture. That means we must make agriculture attractive for them.
President Buhari later joined other African leaders in a panel session on food and agricultural delivery compacts, through which he believes Africa will finally break through and feed itself.
Since 2015, one of the main themes of the president's agenda is to ensure that we feed ourselves and we produce what we eat and we eat what we. So it's really fitting that we're here today, and most of the things that some of the other countries in Africa begin to think about is what we have already done in Nigeria. As you may be aware, we are already cultivating 21 different agricultural crops, but at least I can say that in 2 or 3 of them we have achieved some high level of food sufficiency.
Dakar 2 Summit, as the event is called, seeks to create favorable conditions towards achieving food security in Africa. From Dakar, Senegal, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Statistics of mobile internet users in Nigeria as at 2022 is put at about 81 million, and this figure is projected to increase to 90.48 million in 2023. The federal government is not taking any chance, as it is taking steps to protect internet users, most especially the young Nigerians. Both the Ministry of Aviation and the Ministry of Works and Housing also got approval for the memoranda presented to the council. State House correspondent Jide Onifadi has that.
Begin with the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy. Isali Pantamiru presented 3 memos to the Council. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, described as exciting these memos. Let us find out why this is so.
Memo number 1 is National DIC 1 policy. The policy aims to institutionalize providing docks during construction in Nigeria at federal, state, and even local government. This is the global best practice today. By implication, during road construction, bridges, rail lines, seaports, stadium, and all other important buildings, we should make provision of docks where at least any wire or any gadget for electricity or telecommunications or any service that is required will make use of that facility and lay their cables.
One of the benefits of this docked facility policy, as Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Ali Pantamin says, is that Nigerians will have access to broadband services at a more affordable rate than what obtains now.
Policy number 2 is National Child Online Protection Policy and Strategy.
The Nigeria Data Protection Bill is the 3rd memo presented by the minister.
The wisdom behind coming up with this regulation is to ensure the privacy and confidentiality of our data that we are submitting to government and other private institutions. Confidentiality of our data and security of our data is key to whatever we do.
Council approved the bill and directed the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to forward same to the National Assembly.
Today was
Minister Lai Mohammed speaks on the 2 memos presented by the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, to the Council. One of the memos is for the reversed estimated total cost of contracts for rehabilitation of some roads in Benue State.
Augmentation for the construction of Mayam, Ushongo, Lizel, Katayo, Se, Agboregba, Oju, Ajila Road in Benue State. The second memo which he presented, which was approved, actually has to do with the headquarters, the Mabushi headquarters of the Ministry of Works to seek approval for the estimated total cost of the contract for the design and installation of solar power plus microgrid system and energy, retrofitting of the ministry.
A point to note here, as the minister says, is the commitment of government to diversify sources of energy.
Is one memo that contains about 3 items, one of which is the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Hadija airstrip. and the total sum is 7,482,074,196 naira and 56 kobo for a period of 18 months. Then there is the construction of control tower and technical building at Enugu, and is 1,973,606,141 naira and 75 kobo.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo presided over the Federal Executive Council meeting in the State House. Jide Onifade, NTA News.
In another story, the Nigerian Air Force is rolling out its C-130H NAV 918 aircraft after its successful completion of its in-country periodic depot maintenance. Presiding over the acceptance formalities for the newly reactivated aircraft, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, says this will boost the force's airlift and combat support capability for joint security operations across the country. NTA DBC reports.
God be the glory.
It's been 14 months of thorough periodic depot maintenance on this C-130H NAV 918 aircraft, jointly conducted and completed by the Nigerian Air Force aircraft engineers and technicians in partnership with a private organization. The aircraft is ready to be reactivated into the fleet to boost the Nigerian Air Force airlift capability.
PDM is a series of in-depth maintenance activities carried out on an aircraft to extend its life and enhance operational safety and effectiveness.
According to the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, given the Nigerian Air Force pivotal roles in internal security operations and logistics movement, this platform could not have been reactivated at a better time.
To support the independent National Electoral Commission to relieve the electoral staff and logistics in the forthcoming general elections. It is on this note that we welcome NAV 918 back to operational readiness to achieve its logistics assignment. It is pertinent to mention that deliberate efforts are equally being made to improve aircraft serviceability across all the aircraft fleets in the Nigerian Air Force inventory.
The Minister of Defense, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense, Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar Kana, commended the Nigerian Air Force for looking inward and providing many capacity development opportunities for officers and men of the Nigerian Air Force.
The federal government appreciates the efforts of Nigerian Air Force towards addressing terrorism, insurgency, and other forms of security threats in our dear country. I'm also aware of all your non-kinetic actions, particularly in the various theaters of operations to win the hearts and minds of the populace.
The rollout ceremony of C-130H aircraft resonates with the vision of the Nigerian Air Force, which is to enhance and sustain critical air power capabilities required for joint employment in pursuit of national security imperatives. In Lagos, Kende Adebisi, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Nigerian Armed Forces and other security agencies are developing more robust non-kinetic approach to further complement ongoing combat operations across the country. This is the focus of the non-kinetic coordination course in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has the details.
Nigeria is facing different internal security challenges. In complex nature of these threats, the armed forces are conducting military operations to stem these emerging security challenges. This platform, Non-Kinetic Coordination Course 1, organized by the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, and the Peace Building Development Consult, is aimed at bridging the gap in the adoption of the non-kinetic approach as an alternative means of tackling some of the security challenges.
Accordingly, the strategies to improve the non-kinetic effort by the armed forces of Nigeria have included a review of national counter-terrorism strategy and the inclusion of non-kinetic operation doctrine in pre-deployment training.
Addressing the threats of terrorism and its attendant consequences required a multifaceted, multi-agency approach involving all stakeholders across government and society using kinetic and non-kinetic means.
Proliferation of small and light weapons and the nation's porous border are critical non-kinetic issues that must be addressed.
We have been using the kinetic approach to solving some of our national security problems, and we found it necessary to look at alternatives to the approaches we have been using, and that is why we are engaged at this time with this high-level workshop on the use of non-kinetic approaches to solving some of our national security problems.
Enhanced synergy among security agencies and the people in the grassroots are major parts to a secured environment. From the Nigerian Army Resource Center in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
To legislative matters now, as Senate has called on the Inspector General of Police to investigate the killing of a Catholic priest in Niger State, Reverend Father Isaac Achi, and a councillor, Saleh Alawa, in Niger State. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Challenges of insecurity started the day's proceedings. The killing of a Catholic priest, Reverend Father Isaac Achi, and a councillor, Saleh Alawa, in Niger State, were tabled on the floor by Senator Sani Musa. Senators were unanimous in the call for investigation and prosecution of the perpetrators and for the National Emergency Management Agency to rebuild the church destroyed by the attackers.
Aware also that the late Reverend Father survived multiple attacks and was also abducted in Madela and spent days in captivity until his church members raised some ransom before he regained his freedom.
Look at the several attempts that he survived assassination. It invokes so much empathy.
Urge the Nigerian police and other relevant security agencies to carry out comprehensive investigation of these dastardly acts and to promptly arrest and prosecute the perpetrators. Condole with Bishop of Mina Diocese, Catholic faithful, and the bereaved family.
It also urged security agencies to investigate the disappearance of Deputy Commandant of the Security and Civil Defense Corps, Raymond Gadi, in Yenegua, Bayelsa State, as moved by Senator Emmanuel Oke Jeff. Security issues continued on the floor as Senate confirmed the appointment of former Inspector General of Police Solomon Arase as chairman of Police Service Commission. Senate Committee on Police Affairs, which screened the nominee, presented its findings.
The committee was satisfied and impressed with how the nominee competently answered all the questions posed to him, as well as his qualification and relevant experience, and hereby recommended that the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Solomon E. Arase, CFR, as chairman of the Police Service Commission.
The Federal Medical Center Okigwe Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Frank Ibezim, passed second reading.
3. To run an effective and cost-effective medical services to Nigerians, and lastly, to review and update medical findings and research from time to time.
Senate concurred on 7 bills. These include a bill that seeks to remove the National Assembly from the contributory pension scheme and establish the National Assembly Pension Commission. Senate has adjourned to 28th of February 2023 to enable members participate in the ongoing electoral process. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives believes economic saboteurs have a hand in the scarcity of fuel across the country, which has persisted for months. This informed the resolution at Wednesday's plenary, asking security agencies to fish out those responsible for the scarcity. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has that.
The lawmakers noted with concern that federal government approved subsidy in billions of naira, but some persons in the system manipulate the supply chain and cause hardship on Nigerians.
Nigerians are exposed to all sorts of hardship, which has resulted in hike in transportation, fares, and high cost of some major food items.
The Department of State Security Service met with them, gave a time frame to say this must end.
but the fuel scarcity didn't stop.
House members want the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, as the sole importer of refined products, to ease the queues. It resolves to invite the regulatory body in the sector as it gets set to conduct an investigation into the matter. The motion from Representative Muhammad Al-Ali calling for investigation into spate of extrajudicial killings and kidnappings in Jos and environs was adopted.
I urge the Chief of Defense Staff, the Director General of the State Security Service, and the Inspector General of Police to direct Operation Safe Haven to initiate a coordinated joint security operation with other security agencies to flush out criminals within the system.
3 bills passed second reading, including the bill to amend the Fire Service Act, sponsored by Representative Uime Idem, which, among others, seeks to ensure compliance with fire safety protocols in buildings. Meanwhile, the House will transmit to the President for assent the 35 constitution amendment bills that have met the constitutional requirements. Among them is the bill that seeks granting of power to national and state assemblies to summon the President and governors, respectively, bill separating the office of the Auditor General from the Minister or Commissioner of Justice, and bill that seeks financial autonomy for the state's legislature and the judiciary. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The seemingly undersupply of fuel in most independent petrol stations has continued like an unresolved puzzle. It is even more baffling that while designated petrol stations look like they are dry during scarcity, illegal fuel vendors are always operating right in front of these petrol stations, preying on people's desperation for fuel. Now, where is their product coming from? Are petrol marketers complicit? Well, let's try to find some answers to these questions in this report by Lydia Sampson.
Yunus Ibrahim's excitement as a petrol hawker resonates with others in the unwholesome business. For them, it is simply about taking advantage of the scarcity whenever it arises to make some quick money.
I come to hustle for this Abuja. I try to hustle to chop.
They reveal how and why they never run out of the product.
Almost 2,000 something. You go give them bribe almost 300 for pump addendums. You from now machine go buy them inside. If machine go buy them, your machine go sell them for you. Almost 3,000, 3,001. You go sell them 4,000, 35.
Motorists who patronize petrol hawkers, popularly known as black marketers, say to avoid the long delay of joining queues, the black market is the only available option.
I saw the queue yesterday. I couldn't do it. I closed from work. What do? I bought black market 10 liter.
I don't want to buy adulterated fuel. That's why I come into the station. No matter how long I have to queue, I just come in and buy my fuel.
So I had one experience when I bought from the black market. Within 2 minutes, my car off. I couldn't move until they towed it and they had to wash my fuel tank.
If the fuel in my car can't take me out, I would rather park rather than patronizing them.
However, there's good news in the horizon, as key players believe the terminal and bulk storage regulation of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority will help in mitigating issues around scarcity.
We should have strategic stock across the country, up country, and there are storages everywhere, even though pipelines need to be revamped. So this regulation addresses that need.
As of today, NNPC Retail is the only oil company that sells fuel at uniform price the whole country. So you would expect the same price in Lagos, the same price in Abuja, the same price in Katsina. So many people will go there, and because of that, a lot of people are very envious. NPC cannot do that. They are trying their best, and you know, when you even merge or you acquire, you have some teething problems. I do not expect this thing to happen, and it's not possible with the current management.
While independent marketers insist that their members are not supplying petrol vendors, Yunus Ibrahim and his black market cohort say for them, business is not just good, but exceeding their expectations. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Thank you so much, Lydia, for that. Now, Nigeria has launched a national emissions control program to manage pollution from generators and vehicles in line with the nation's revised nationally determined contribution and climate action plan. Onege Fine Face reports.
is important for humanity and indeed all lives on earth. The World Health Organization estimates 4.2 million deaths worldwide from ambient pollution, which is also responsible for lung cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, heart diseases, and stroke. This is in addition to numerous environmental problems caused by air pollutants, including acid rain, ozone layer depletion, and global warming. Nigeria's National Emissions Control Program provides for a generator control and vehicular emissions control program in response to global call to combat air pollution.
The programs that would not only reduce air pollution in our environment, but also reduce their attendant environmental and health issues, which emissions from power generating sets and motor vehicles causes. But much as we cannot do without power and transportation, so is the environment being highly polluted, resulting to environmental degradations.
Considering the magnitude of air pollution on the environment and human health,
NESRIA cannot do it alone. Stakeholders' involvement is required. The National Climate Change Council will bring out the appropriate mechanism for emission trading schemes and in conjunction with NESRIA, ensure compliance so that we have a whole of government approach.
Objectives of the program include creating public awareness on indiscriminate use of generators and vehicles and their environmental and health implications. Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says it is heartwarming that Saudi Arabia has indicated interest in investing in Nigeria. The minister stated this during an interaction with newsmen on his recent trip to Saudi Arabia and Spain. Anthony Forson has the details.
The minister, in company of Aliko Dangote, were in Riyadh on the invitation of the Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, Zurab Pololikashvili. They had high-profile meetings with Saudi Arabian ministers, which to Lai Mohammed was an eye-opener.
To discuss that, Saudi Arabia is keen to use tourism to come and invest in Nigeria, and also use tourism to attract investment into Saudi Arabia. Now, this is the genesis of our visit to Saudi Arabia. So it's like tourism was the private sector to look for areas of investment in Saudi Arabia, and also interesting Saudi Arabia.
To this end, the Saudi Export Promotion Council is built to visit Nigeria for further talks on deepening business cooperation. On his visit to Madrid, Spain, which turned out as a farewell visit to the headquarters of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, Lai Mohammed said 3 key issues were agreed upon. They are the resolve by UNWTO to build an academy that will help train industry players and managers, Nigeria to help drive the push for a single African air transport market, as well as organize a gastronomy festival.
This is in addition to very active participation in virtually all UNWTO meetings and conferences. So I believe that the 7.5 years in the saddle as the Minister of, in charge of tourism has helped to really foster better relationship between Nigeria and UNWTO.
In the last 7 years, Nigeria has consistently maintained its leadership role within the global body. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Let's take our first breather. When we return, we'll tell you how CBN cash mop-up exercise in rural communities is coming up, the apprehension, the anxiety.
Naira with up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back. As the deadline to phase out old Naira notes draws near, apprehension is mounting among residents of Lagos State over the inability to deposit money banks to ensure proper circulation of the redesigned Naira notes through the ATMs. 6 days to the deadline. Those who spoke with Abolade Salami in Lagos called on the central bank to back up its directive to commercial banks with necessary measures that can drive compliance.
The inability of Nigerians to access newly redesigned Naira note launched by the Central Bank of Nigeria since December 15, 2022, is one of the trending issues in the country today. Surveillance at some ATM points lends credence, indicating that despite the directive by CBN to deposit money banks to henceforth make available only the redesigned Naira notes in automated teller machines, majority of the banks are yet to comply.
Yes, I was expecting to see the new Naira note since CBN said we're going to start getting the new Naira note, but I didn't get it. Old money, that's what I got.
Because the way I see it, the money has not circulated very well, and even our ATM has not begun to bring out the new note.
And we have not seen the new Naira note in the outside now. It is scarce in market.
As the countdown to the deadline for phasing out the old Naira notes winds down, so has the level of anxiety among Nigerians increased. More so with the decision of the Apex Bank not to entertain any shift in the deadline, despite the high volume of liquidity yet to be retracted to commercial bank vaults.
A lot of things has to be attended to. In a situation where a new note is presented to a buyer and the woman rejected the money, what is the why? It's because the awareness is not enough.
To allay the fears of Nigerians on the availability of the redesigned Naira notes, the CBN says necessary measures are being taken to ensure deposit money banks have enough redesigned notes for customers.
Given everyone the assurance that the new Naira notes is available, whether it is banking hours or outside the banking hours, if you go to your ATM, you will get the new Naira note. It's a directive that the Apex Bank have given to all deposit money banks. Make the money available in the machines so that people can have access to it. And we are supplying them with the new notes, and they are making it available through the machines.
The bank maintained that the redesigned notes have embedded in it security features that cannot be tampered with. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
And from Aba in Abia State comes the report that it is race against time for the new Naira notes to be in circulation despite the large volume of commercial activities in the city. Grace Nana reports that while the various cash points are still dispensing the old notes, people in the rural community say they are yet to sight the new notes.
Rural dwellers say they are worried because all they still know and see are the old notes, whereas they will no longer be useful at the end of this month.
Many people have not seen the new Naira notes, especially that 200 Naira. Me, I have not even seen how it is. The 500 I have seen, but it have not come to my hand.
I think the federal government need to do more in terms of mobilization and centralization.
Other respondents complained of the scarcity of the new Naira notes. They say financial institutions are still dispensing the old Naira notes.
I'm a KK driver. I will be driving from morning to night. Sometimes I will not even get one. As I'm talking now, I have never touched 500 new money before, even this 200. Only 1,000 Naira note I have touched in my hand.
Like last week, I went to the bank. They gave me half of new one and half of old one. Even the old one is bigger than the new one.
I just got about 10,000 Naira during Ember month. I've already distributed the money.
Residents say not having the new Naira notes in circulation is also affecting businesses. And more worrisome is that some traders are beginning to refuse the new Naira notes.
Sometimes if you go with this old new money to buy something, they refuse to take it. They say it's scanta, that they don't know about it.
It was also observed that most automated teller machines visited were not dispensing cash due to lack of the new Naira notes. Residents of Aba are, however, calling for the extension of the deadline to enable the new Naira notes to be fully in circulation. In Aba, Grace Nana, NTA News.
Few days before the deadline for the swap of old Naira notes for new notes, the central bank again launched the cash swap program in rural and unserved areas in a bid to tighten up loose ends to achieve the cashless policy target. How prepared are those in rural communities? Bosade Abel, who has been following events, visited some communities.
The clock is ticking and the date to the deadline is fast approaching. The Central Bank of Nigeria is working tirelessly to meet with the deadline of January 31st, 2023 to mop up old Naira notes. What about those at the rural areas who have a high percentage of unbanked, you may ask? Well, the CBN says it has mobilized a total number of 1.4 million agents nationwide for the currency swap, with the highest amount of 10,000 Naira per day in rural areas. Okay, right now I am at Auta Balefi, Karo local government area of Nasarawa State, to find out if some of these agents are at hand doing their job.
Not yet. I never see anything like agent as a mine. I never see anything like agent coming to Auta Balefi.
There are particular agents that were picked to go through the training. After that, they will come and be sharing the new money for agents. But however, I have not seen one yet.
Than 500, they see, and this is it. Now, only one throughout the week now I see.
May they help us. If they go still put more time for us, we never see them. Even me, where they tell you so, all the new money, I never see them. Now, person even show me.
Some of my people, they're in the hospital. They are looking for new money, no way to send money for them. So, because the POS people, they say they know they collect old money. Wallahi, no be small suffering. People are dying. That person now is sick. He's in the hospital now, heart attack, down attacker.
I've been communicating with some of the community traders here in Nasarawa State, and they are lamenting for government to come to their aid.
We have not seen any cash swap agent, and we have not seen the new notes. So we are still using the old notes. We have told our people to continue using the old notes, pending the availability of the new notes.
We are at Kuchikau. I am at Kuchikau Palace.
I never see anybody for here, for community, for Kuchikau. I never see anybody.
Well, after all we have seen and heard from members of these communities, the question now is, will they be able to get their cash swap? And most importantly, will they be able to meet with the CBN's deadline on 31st of January, which is just few days to go? From Nasarawa State, I am Bosade Abel, NTA News.
Well done, Bosade. Now, Borno State Government has constituted a committee comprising local government chairmen and traditional leaders as officials of critical sectors to mop up the old Naira notes. Mohammed Goni reports that Governor Babagana Umar Zulum says the move is to avert losses by the people at the grassroots as a result of the 3 redesigned currency denominations.
Officials of the CBN gave until end of January this year for the citizenry to change the 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes. CBN has since taken steps to create awareness on the new notes and compliance by banks and other related institutions.
What I want the district heads, the village heads and local governments to do is to take the addresses of the individuals that are willing to deposit their money, write their names, their addresses, their phone numbers, and amount that they are willing to deposit.
Borno State government, on its part, also assigned responsibilities to critical stakeholders that include officials of government and traditional leaders to, as a matter of urgency, visit all local government areas and ensure voluntary collection of all notes from the people at the grassroots and return same to CBN for replacement with the new notes. Governor Bagana Umar said the state government is taking the risk of collecting the all notes because banks only operate in Biu and Maiduguri Metropolitan Council, while they cannot move down to the local government areas to collect the all notes for replacement, owing to the perceived security threat. He added that microfinance banks are to be resuscitated in Monguno and Goza local government areas, while officials for microfinance bank to work with the leadership and critical stakeholders. The governor also directed Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Technology and Innovation to provide ICT facilities to ensure success of the exercise. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Barely a week to the deadline for the exchange of the old Naira notes with the redesigned currency by the Central Bank of Nigeria, the mood in Gaidam and other communities in the eastern axis of Yobe State is that of apprehension and uncertainty. This stems from the fact that the majority risk losing their hard-earned incomes due to the lack of commercial banks in the locality. Gaidam is among the 4 out of the 17 local government areas of Yobe State without a commercial bank. Let's now join Mustafa Yusuf as he fills us in on the situation.
Abubakar Muhammad is a 50-year-old Nigerian who lives in the Pap province in the neighboring Niger Republic, from where he crosses the border to conduct his legitimate business and add value to the nation's economy. Just like other Gaidam residents, life is increasingly becoming unbearable following the CBN stance to end circulation of the old Naira note with those redesigned by the end of this month, as more than 70% of commercial activities there are being conducted in Nigerian currency and outside the banking system. This time around, Abubakar was forced to abort his mission due to non-availability of the new notes. This ordeal was further corroborated by a POS operator who alleged of paying 60,000 naira for every 1 million naira note in order to stay in business. This development has severely affected the economy of most families, including livestock dealers, whose leadership lamented that before the issue of swapping of the new naira note came up, 150 trailers used to convey livestock to other parts of the country.
Please, we are pleading to the government, both the state government and the federal government and the central bank, to come to the aid of our people. Our people are suffering.
The deadline, but they say is next week. But next week, up to now, we not get the new money here.
And then the new money, there is no any new money now. Our people are suffering.
A peculiarity that aggravates the situation in Gaidam is lack of a commercial bank in the area to facilitate implementation of the CBN policy with ease, following the destruction of the only existing bank then by Boko Haram insurgent in 2011, and up to today, none was established for the fear of the insurgents. From Gaidam in Yobe State, Mustafa Yusuf Musa, NTA News.
It's now time for Musa to take over with business news. Musa.
Thank you, Fatima. At the end of a 2-day international conference, stakeholders in the cotton, textile and garment sector have resolved to continue the recovery of loans given to farmers through the Anchor Borrowers Program. While appealing to the federal government to continue the program for consolidation on gains, stakeholders also resolved to take advantage of other funding options from Nexim Bank and Bank of Industry, collaborate with India and Mali towards payment for goods with their respective currencies. This is in addition to establishing diagnostic laboratories in soil science schools where farmers can learn how non-fertile land can be revived. Collaborations with stakeholders towards reducing the export cost using the instrument of the Export Expansion Grant, quality seeds, increased patronage, setting up anti-smuggling task force at all border points were considered. Oil prices were up slightly in light volumes on Wednesday after government data showed a smaller than anticipated build in U.S. crude inventories, countering weak economic data from Tuesday. CNBC reports that Brent crude was up 0.49% to $86.55 a barrel after declining 2.3% in the previous session. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 0.585% to $80.81 a barrel after a 1.8% drop on Tuesday. And now to Stocks in Nigeria recorded losses a day after the Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee raised benchmark rates by 100 basis points. The All-Share Index shed 0.02% to close at 52,599.65 points, while equity capitalization decreased to 28.649 trillion naira. 119 million units of securities worth 2.689 billion naira were traded in 3,552 deals. Mutual Benefits, Transcope and Geregu Power Plant topped the activity chart in that order. There's a quick look at business news. The news continues with Fatima.
Oh, thank you, Musa. And the federal government is sustaining the trajectory in promoting locally made machines and tools for agricultural revolution as the new Agricultural Machinery Equipment Development Institute in Lafia and Nasarawa State comes on stream. Governor Abdullahi Saleh, while receiving Executive Vice Chairman of National Agency for Science, Engineering, Infrastructure, NASENI, Professor Mohammed Haruna, commends President Muhammadu Buhari for the project. Ali Tijani reports.
Agricultural Machinery Equipment Development Institute, built by the federal government, is to promote research and innovations in the agricultural sector, with farm implements and tools expected to be manufactured locally for farmers. The institute will encourage farm mechanization. Realizing these objectives, federal government cited the institute in Lafia to serve the north-central zone of the country. Work completed and the institute ready for use. Governor Abdullahi Saleh, while playing host to Executive Vice Chairman of NASENI, says the project will boost agricultural production in the state and beyond.
Happy now that you are telling me that indeed the project will be ready, but more importantly, it will be operational.
So it is those people with biases in science, engineering, and technology fields. They are what the institute will use, and they are what the institute will train in future, and to teach farmers how to use the machines that will be produced in that institute.
President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to inaugurate the institute next week in Lafia. Aliu Tijani, NTA News.
Globacom, one of the leading telecommunications company in Nigeria, is at it again, blessing loyal customers across the country with lots of exciting gifts. Yohana Hassanbaro reports from Kano, where 66 lucky subscribers have so far been honored with various prizes with promise of greater future of service and generosity.
That was the scenario at the Glow office in Kano, occasioned by excitement that knew no bounds as loyal subscribers who joined the Glow Festival Joy promo converged after emerging as winners of various prizes after a raffle draw.
30 minutes?
Yes. Can you come to Globacom office in 30 minutes?
Yes, inshallah.
All right, hold on. I want to tell you that there's no problem. Nobody is investigating you. You are the proud winner of a brand new car that Globacom is giving out.
Yes.
Are you not excited? You know. So we are running a promo.
Is the next 30 minutes?
You are aware we are running a promo now?
Yes.
Aha.
Sewing machines, rechargeable fans, generator sets, and a grand prize of a car were won by different subscribers. For Anas Yusuf, the winner of a car prize, it is a life-changing experience coming to the Glow office in tricycle and now going back home with a brand new car.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, really unbelievable. I'm so surprised, and also I'm happy. Alhamdulillah.
A coincidence best describes the fate of Abubakar Abdullahi, who happens to be a tailor and now a winner of a sewing machine courtesy of Globacom Nigeria Limited.
The time when they called me, I win a sewing machine, so I am happy. Thank you, Glo.
To ensure that our standard is set, all the rules and regulations pertaining to the promo is followed,
myself and the head of licensing and operation unit were together. Up to 7 a.m. we are together with them, and we are fully satisfied.
We have been doing it in the past, and they can only expect nothing but better than what we have done. We will always raise our bar. They should expect something bigger and better in this year.
More people from across the country are expected to win cars, houses, and many more. In Kano, Yahana Sahasa, NTA News.
The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, in partnership with Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, and the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, presented 266 housing units to civil servants in Yobe and Borno states. Joseph Rustin reports.
With low income and huge responsibilities, not many Nigerian civil servants can afford to build a house before retiring. The National Affordable Housing Delivery Program for Nigerians is among efforts taken by the federal government through the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and its partners to provide affordable housing to workers. In Damaturu, Yobe State, 180 housing units were inaugurated and delivered to off-takers.
This 180 houses of 3-bedroom and 2-bedroom that have been commissioned today will be allocated to workers of Yobe State, and therefore is going to assist greatly in making sure that workers own their own houses.
The government seems willing and determined to confront the housing deficit confronting Nigerian workers and the people.
We also look forward to collaborating with the Federal Mortgage Bank in the future towards the construction of more housing estates in the states.
In terms of building construction now, this is the most affordable housing you can get within the environment. Basically because the state provided the land. So cost of land is not even included in the construction.
And in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, 86 civil servants were allocated houses through the same partnership.
I hope more houses will be built so that my colleagues in the civil service all benefited from this program.
Let me at this point appeal to the Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Federal Mortgage Bank, Madu Haman, to commit more resources to provide mass housing estates to our civil servants in the state who are prompt in paying their commitment.
Nigeria is estimated to have a housing deficit of 28 million. Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
In another development, the board and management of the Niger Delta Development Commission has resolved to maintain a strong and effective collaboration with stakeholders to enable them actualize the mandate of the commission. Osinachi Abraham reports that the decision is part of the outcome of a 3-day retreat held in Uyo.
The strategic retreat was knowledge-based as resource persons took turns to explain critical issues in public service reforms and essentials of Public Procurement Act, amongst other topics. Declaring the strategic retreat closed, Chairman Governing Board of NDDC, Lorita Onoche, said it is imperative that all stakeholders in the Niger Delta region, including the staff of the Commission, support the vision of the new leadership in the Commission. She appealed to Niger Deltans to be part of the changes that are beginning to manifest in the drive to reposition the NDDC and ensure that it becomes a more effective interventionist agency.
We need us to start looking at the laws that guide the creation of NDDC and begin to apply the laws in all we do. If you are a cleaner, you clean well. If you are a director, you direct well.
Participants in the retreat commend the initiative.
As a board, we have resolved that we are definitely going to make a difference. That is why I can say that the theme of the retreat is NDDC making a difference. So we really want to make a difference, making a difference in terms of embarking on legacy projects, embarking on sustainable programs for our youth.
For me, what I took away from here, several processes, especially the one on public procurement and then the relationship between the governing board and the executives.
We are not going to wait for some of our Niger Delta people who are being owed 20 million, 30 million to come and cluster within the headquarters. My own opinion is that they should devolve payments to the component states.
The board promised that NDDC will commence high-impact people-driven programs for all citizens of Niger Delta, regardless of political or ethnic differences. From Uyo, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
Time for another timeout.
More to choose from. Whatever your preferences are, there is a Chivita for you. If you love an active life, or you just want to relax and unwind, if you are the cool dude, or simply want to try something refreshingly different, however you want it, there is a Chivita for you. Oh, yes. Check out our new Chivita Smart Malt Drink. Energy to learn, energy to play. So, what's your Chivita?
Thanks for staying tuned. The presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, has promised to tackle the flooding challenges in Bayelsa State if given the mandate to serve as Nigeria's president. Kwankwaso made the promise when he featured as a guest on NTA News and Current Affairs program Polyplot. Doris Akumoye has the details.
As part of his campaign tour to states across the country, the presidential candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, inaugurated his state office in Yenagoa. Driven by the passion to develop the country, the presidential hopeful says he is committed to delivering dividends of democracy to all parts of Nigeria through human capacity development and infrastructural upgrade.
You have to make sure that every naira that is coming out of your treasury is going straight to where it should be. And that's what we have done in Kano. I mentioned it here. I never borrowed 1 naira for the 8 years I was governor of Kano State.
We Bayelsans, we are very, very sure that he's going to win. At least we've given him the support we have to, and by the grace of God, it is going to be okay.
The former governor of Kano State reassured Nigerians of his willingness to serve, calling on all to collect their PVCs to vote the NNPP candidates in the February 25 presidential and National Assembly elections, as well as the March 11 gubernatorial and state houses of assembly elections. In Yenagoa, Doris Sakomonye, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the presidential campaign organization of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has reaffirmed that the party still has a solid hold of the South-South states. The spokesperson of the campaign organization, Kola Olagbodiyan, was speaking at a media briefing in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf has that.
PDP presidential campaign rally in Asaba, Delta State, the home state of the party's vice presidential candidate and governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, was a success according to the presidential campaign organization. Campaign spokesman Kola Olagbodiyan of the acceptability of the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and his running mate Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, other states of the South-South and the nation at large. Meanwhile, executive members of the PDP National Youth Movement have submitted that the defection from the PDP and subsequent emergence of Peter Obi as the Labour Party presidential candidate has significantly threatened the usual bloc votes from the Southeast.
The fact that we had exhausted all the windows available for official substitutions according to INEC timetable informed the need for collaborative effort of the
movement enjoined people of the state to remain committed to the ideals of the PDP. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The Obidati Presidential Campaign Council has condemned the attack on the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, in Katsina State. The candidate had met with women in a town hall and also held a rally at the Muhammadu Diko Stadium. However, on his way to the airport, hoodlums attacked his car with heavy stones, causing substantial damage to the vehicle. Mr. Obi and other occupants of the car were, however, unhurt. In a statement, the Obideti Campaign Council says another set of thugs also threw stones outside the stadium, which damaged several vehicles, including that of the official stage crew, and the two incidents make them suspect the attacks may have been premeditated. While thanking the good people of Katsina who came out en masse to support the campaign rally, the council urged security agencies to investigate the matter to forestall future occurrences. This is News Extra on the NTA. We're still talking politics. The presidency has reacted to the views of Tanko Yakase in a live interview questioning the president's support of APC at the forthcoming elections. A statement from the presidency says President Muhammadu Buhari's support for the party's candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is unquestionable. While acknowledging Yakase's right to highlight his experience as a senior citizen, the statement says a leader in government and ability to reach out across divides are strong foundations for the highest office, noting that questioning loyalties of President Buhari stands in sharp contrast to the actions of the president. The statement cited President Buhari's presence at APC rally in Bauchi on Monday, supporting Tinubu, and will make further appearances at such campaigns in coming weeks, despite presidential duties. The strategic role of journalists in elections makes them considered among frontliners. Barely 1 month to the presidential and National Assembly elections, the Nigeria Police Force says it is committed to ensuring that the atmosphere is conducive for the conduct of the exercise. Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba gave the assurance when the leadership of the Nigeria Union of Journalists visited him at the force headquarters in Abuja. Francis Form reports.
This is the first engagement between the top management of the force and the leadership of the Nigeria Union of Journalists in 2023. Discussions at the meeting focus on collaboration for closer working relationship between the police and the media.
That the media is not just about antagonism.
Coming at a time the nation is preparing for general elections, National President of NUJ, Chris Isiguzo, acknowledges the role of the media and appeals for a conducive working environment for journalists on elections coverage.
The seeming misunderstanding in most cases between media practitioners and security operatives, resulting in harassment, intimidations, arbitrary arrests, among others, are avoidable once we understand we are partners in progress.
The relationship between the media and the Nigeria police is symbiotic. It is a relationship of policing the police, and we believe this will encourage us to collaborate, synergize, and to cooperate with the media to make our country a better place for all of us.
The IGP was thereafter presented with a milestone recognition for the reforms he has initiated in the force. In another development, the Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center is upgrading its capacity to squarely tackle some election-induced crises as the nation counts down to the polls. To this end, the Cybercrime Center is building the capacity of personnel on digital forensic investigation in Abuja.
The only way we can actually help Nigerians, help victims of cybercrime, is for us to be on top of our game.
Participants are optimistic that the knowledge gained will be effectively put into use in tackling the activities of criminals who may want to attack to infiltrate the electoral process.
Crimes are moving from the regular methods of crimes we all know to the digital section, so we also have to prepare ourselves and able to combat the crimes in that aspect.
At the end of this program, we would have a comprehensive knowledge of what to do when we are faced with situations like that.
The training had participants drawn from different commands and units in the force nationwide. Francis from NTA News.
Thank you so much, Francis. Time for the last break for the night.
Nothing should divide us. Nothing can divide us. And absolutely nothing will divide us. In our togetherness lies our strength. Our diverse nature beautifies us. Yes, we may not agree socially, politically, and culturally. Not even our ideological, religious, or ethnic differences should lead to bloodshed. Let us draw a leaf from the painful reality of our recent history and give dialogue and negotiation a chance. Let us support our gallant men and women of the armed forces, symbol of our national unity. One people we are, have been, and always will be. Nigeria is my country, your country, our country. Let us keep her together in peace and unity.
If you want to become something, become a child again. Why be a patient? If you must worry, then worry about winning. Why worry about germs? When you come home, bring tales and stories. Why bring in germs?
Shield your families from germs. When Dettol is a part of every household bucket, then you and your family can stay protected from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Everyday use of Dettol keeps my loved ones protected.
Looking fresh for your date? Get even fresher with Close Up. New Close Up Triple Fresh formula. It cleans deeply, fights 99% of bacteria, and cools intensely, keeping you protected and fresh.
Protected and fresh. Protected and fresh. Let's take a picture. Protected and fresh.
Still fresh, still protected.
Feeling good and protected.
All day confidence to get close.
Oh yeah, take the Close Up shot. Close.
New Close Up Triple Fresh formula.
Like a bird needs wings to fly, you need skills to be productive. No matter the level of your education, ITF can train you to acquire skills in areas like mechatronics, metal machining, facility technology, electronics and computer networking, information and communication technology, ICT, culinary art, and agriculture. Acquire a skill and transform yourself from being unemployed to becoming even an employer. Be a valuable Nigerian youth. Say no to unemployment and poverty.
I'll spread my wings and fly so high. I'll reach for the stars, yeah, it's time.
Industrial Training Fund, developing the nation's human resource.
A body has been found, possibly a child.
I think I have something.
I think it's another ritual murder. Stop! Oh, that's the count for this morning.
So what do we know about these so-called senior cult members?
It appears their real strength lies in their members now in government, judiciary, business, and the police. Now, this is getting interesting.
To sports news now, as the African Nations Championship CHAN in Algeria concludes group stage matches, Austin Edemodo highlights the quarter-final pairings of the 8 remaining teams.
Oseni through the gap, and it may well be an own goal. Niger.
That was how Niger Republic see the fate of Cameroon to book a ticket for the knockout stage of the ongoing African Nations Championship CHAN in Algeria. Other teams that have their quarter-final tickets include host Algeria, Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, Mauritania, Madagascar.
This could be number 2 and the goal maybe to seal this match. Opportunity and it's a goal!
Actions will resume on Friday with the first quarter-final match between Algeria and Côte d'Ivoire, while Senegal and Mauritania will trade tackles in the second match of the day. On Saturday, Madagascar and Mozambique will battle it out in one of the quarter-final matches. Nigeria and Ghana promises to be a thrilling encounter.
But since the group stage is over now, they are entering the quarter-final. It will be a very competitive one now. Every country will really bring out their best now to fight to the finish.
The final of the 7th edition of the African Nations Championship, CHAN, will be held on the 4th of February 2023 at the Nelson Mandela Stadium in Algeria.
It's game on here in Oran.
In Abuja and Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
Chukunoso Mwabwezi has sports update.
The 2023 annual Port Harcourt Polo Tournament has ended with the Nigerian Navy coming tops at the week-long tournament. Godwin Widobia reports that Alfred Spieth emerged the highest-ranked individual player.
The result says it all. We equally won the OB Lulu Cup. So we feel very excited, and then we don't take this win for granted.
It's something that we've done for the past 50 years. We've always had a tournament in January. So what we do is that we begin the year with polo.
In the meantime, the Kebbi state government says it will continue to accord priority to sports as a source of revenue. Abdullahi Lalu reports that the state's acting permanent secretary, Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Usman Ladan, disclosed this at the maiden edition of Taekwondo Kiddies tournament held in Brenin, Kebbi.
Very amazing. The future will be brighter for the Taekwondoans in Kebbi state with this development.
Kebbi state has a lot of potentials, not just in Taekwondo, in all sports. But they are just there, lying, untapped. And don't also forget that you can use sports to take a lot of youths away from social vices.
And in tennis, Novak Djokovic is through to the semi-finals of the 2023 Australian Open after a comfortable straight set 6-1, 6-2, 6-4 win against Russia's Andrei Rublev in the quarterfinals. The 9-time champion will play American Tommy Paul on Friday for a place in the men's singles final. With sports updates, I am Chukunonso Mwabweze, NTA News.
The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it received with shock the sudden death of the party's candidate in March 11, 2023 governorship election in Abia State, Professor Uchenna Ikonne, who died early Wednesday morning at the National Hospital, Abuja. PDP National Publicity Secretary Debo Olugunagba, in a statement, says Professor Ikonne's death is indeed a big blow not only to the PDP family but also to Abia State and the nation in general. In this vein, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the 2023 elections, Atiku Abubakar, mourns the loss of the professor. The former vice president of Nigeria describes Professor Ikonne as an erudite scholar of repute with vast experience in administration, whose contributions in advancing knowledge within the academic community will be appreciated by generations unborn. Meanwhile, the NWC of the party has directed that the PDP flags at the party's National Secretariat Abuja be flown at half-mast in mourning of the death of Professor Ikonne. And on that sad note, we conclude News Extra for tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Let's do this next week, same time, same station. I am Fatima Umar Buba. Please stay safe.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link. And be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
I've had a lot of people ask, what is Nigeria's business building a railway line into Maradi, which is the Niger Republic? Right from time immemorial, the very foundation of wealth creation is trade. We can all cast our minds back to our history classes, where we learned about the trans-Saharan trade that has created multi-billionaires of those days, who probably will be multi-trillionaires these days. Okay? And that trans-Saharan trade is what is reflected here. We are supposed to